What if the final words of a beloved star held a secret that could change everything we thought we knew? A message hidden, encrypted in emotion and silence, now uncovered by the one person who was never meant to see it. You need to hear this entire story to understand what really happened behind the lights, the screens, and the smiles. Subscribe now, stay until the very end, and prepare yourself, because this isn't just another mystery, this is Yu Menglong's final truth, and Xing Fei's heartbreaking discovery that may alter how the world remembers him forever. The story begins on a gray morning when Xing Fei returned to a studio that had long been silent. The lights were dimmed, the floor still carried the faint scent of the last production set, and on the wooden desk by the far corner lay a single envelope. It wasn't sealed, but the handwriting on it was unmistakable, the clean, flowing script that once signed autographs and wrote lyrics, now frozen in time. She hesitated before touching it. Her fingers trembled as if afraid that even the paper might shatter. There was no name written on it, only a phrase, "To the one who still listens." Those words alone were enough to stop her breath. The crew had spoken little since his departure, but whispers filled every hallway. They said Yu Menglong had been distant during his last project, that he was writing something that no one else could read. No one knew if it was a script, a letter, or a goodbye. But when Xing Fei opened the folded pages, the room around her seemed to disappear. The first line read, "If they ever find this, tell them I wasn't running away. I was trying to remember what it meant to feel alive again." Her hand shook as she read on. Every word felt like a piece of his soul had been pressed into the page. He spoke of silence, of the burden of perfection, of nights staring into mirrors where his reflection didn't feel like him anymore. But then there was a turn, a name, written softly as though it had been whispered. Fei. He had written, "You once said the sky is the only place where secrets can breathe. Maybe that's where I'll find peace too." The note wasn't just a message. It was a code of memories, emotions, and hidden meanings that only she could understand. The two of them had shared years of quiet friendship, the kind of bond that rarely reached the headlines but shaped every performance, every smile. Xing Fei sat alone in that room for hours, rereading every sentence. The camera above, still mounted from their last project, flickered faintly. She turned it off, then turned it back on, as if hoping to see him one last time. And then something strange happened. When she played back the last footage stored on the camera, there was a scene no one remembered filming. Yu Menglong was standing by the same window she now sat beside, speaking softly to the camera, not as a performer, but as himself. His voice was calm, his eyes tired but kind. "They'll say I disappeared," he said, "but maybe disappearing isn't the end. Maybe it's how you finally start over." The recording cut off abruptly, leaving only static, but before it ended, his lips moved again, no sound, only a faint motion. Xing Fei rewound it, frame by frame, trying to read his lips. 3 words. That was all. She whispered them out loud, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. Look beyond mirrors. It wasn't a farewell. It was a direction. A message. A clue. Over the following days, Xing Fei began tracing back every scene from his final project, mirroring the truth, realizing it was more than fiction. The script mirrored his reality, his struggles, his quiet cries for help, and yet within it, there was hope. She decoded his lyrics, reread his scripts, and revisited every place he had mentioned. In one of the voice memos recovered from his phone, Yu Menglong spoke about wanting to leave behind something meaningful. "If people only see me as the character, then I've failed. I want them to see the man behind the mask, even if that truth hurts." By the end of her search, Xing Fei discovered a small box in the studio's archive room. Inside were several folded notes, all in his handwriting, each one marked with a date and a single sentence. When arranged in order, they formed a hidden message. "Don't look for me where I was. Look for me in what I left behind." And that's when she understood what the cryptic letter truly meant. Yu Menglong wasn't saying goodbye, he was leaving a map, a reminder, a quiet call for understanding. When Xing Fei shared parts of the letter during an interview weeks later, her voice broke, but she managed to say, "He wasn't gone. He was guiding us to listen deeper." The message went viral overnight. Fans flooded social media with the phrase "look beyond mirrors," turning it into a movement. Artists began revisiting his work, uncovering hidden details, unsent letters, unreleased lyrics, phrases that carried double meanings. It was as though he had painted his legacy in layers, waiting for someone to uncover it. Xing Fei became the keeper of that truth. She continued his story by releasing a short film inspired by the letter, using his real recordings as the narration. The video reached millions within hours. In it, she walked through empty sets, reading fragments of his words, her voice trembling with emotion. The final line echoed softly before the screen faded to black. "You don't lose someone like Yu Menglong. You keep finding him, in every echo, every silence, every truth he left behind." As the world watched, many realized that this wasn't just a story about loss. It was about legacy, about understanding the voices we forget to hear. Xing Fei's discovery wasn't merely emotional, it was transformative. It forced everyone to confront the humanity behind the fame, the artist behind the art, and the truth behind the performance. And perhaps that's what Yu Menglong wanted all along. Not to vanish, but to be remembered not as an image, but as a person who felt deeply and left behind something real. So now, as his fans around the world whisper the words "look beyond mirrors," it feels less like mourning and more like awakening. Because even in silence, Yu Menglong found a way to speak again, through Xing Fei, through his art, and through every heart he touched. Xing Fei sat alone in her quiet apartment that night, the note still trembling in her hands. Every word written by Yu Menglong replayed in her mind, like echoes refusing to fade. His handwriting was delicate yet heavy, like someone who carried too many truths for one lifetime. The message wasn't just about goodbye. It was a confession. A silent storm wrapped in gentle words. She whispered his name again and again, hoping somehow he could still hear her. The cameras, the fans, the endless noise, all of it had faded. What remained now was the quiet weight of what he left behind. For days, she couldn't sleep. She kept reading the note, searching for meaning in the smallest lines. Then, she noticed something strange, a faint mark beneath the final sentence, almost invisible under the light. It looked like a smudge at first, but when she tilted the page toward the window, she realized it was writing. Hidden words. Her heart began to race. She slowly traced over the faded lines with a pencil, revealing what Yu Menglong had truly meant to say. "If the world ever turns against you, look under the cherry tree where we began. That's where I left the truth." Her breath caught. The cherry tree. It wasn't just any tree. It was the one from their very first filming location, a small garden outside the old studio in Hangzhou. The place where they had spent long nights rehearsing lines, laughing between takes, sharing secrets no one else ever knew. That message changed everything. Without telling anyone, Xing Fei traveled back there at dawn. The air was cold, the sky painted in quiet shades of gray. She stood beneath that old cherry tree, the same one where the petals once fell like snow around them. Beneath the roots, she noticed a small piece of metal half buried in the earth. It was a tiny silver box. Inside, she found a folded note and a flash drive. Her hand shook as she opened it. The note read, "To whoever finds this, you were the reason I kept smiling. But there was something I could never say in public. The truth isn't what people think. It was never about fame. It was about love. Real love. The kind that had no place in the world we lived in." Tears blurred her vision. She played the video file from the flash drive. It was Yu Menglong himself, sitting in what looked like his old study room. His face was tired, but his eyes were soft, the same eyes that had once made millions fall in love through every scene. "If this reaches you," he said gently, "then I guess I couldn't say it in person. But you were my reason for everything. Not the lights, not the fame, just you. Every story I told on screen was secretly about us. And I hope you forgive me for hiding it this long." He paused. The silence stretched like eternity. Then he smiled faintly. "Tell them I was happy. Because I was, as long as you were part of my story." The screen faded to black. Xing Fei collapsed to her knees, clutching the flash drive against her chest. The weight of his words tore through her, grief, love, and peace all at once. That night, she finally spoke. For the first time since the message leaked, she went live. Millions joined her stream, their hearts trembling with anticipation. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but her voice was calm. She said only one thing. He wasn't saying goodbye. He was saying thank you. And now, I understand. She shared the message with the world, letting everyone see the truth behind the rumors. And when the clip of Yu Menglong's recording played, the internet went silent. Fans from all over the world cried, reposted, and wrote messages under his name. Thank you for loving her. Thank you for the truth. The cherry tree where she found the box became a symbol of eternal love. Fans started leaving petals and notes there every year, calling it the Garden of Truth. As for Xing Fei, she never spoke publicly about him again after that. But every spring, someone always saw her standing beneath that same tree, alone, smiling quietly, as the petals fell around her like soft whispers. Film frames ending narration, voiceover for the final scene. Sometimes love isn't meant to be spoken. Sometimes it's written in hidden ink, left beneath a tree, or sealed in a flash drive waiting to be found. Yu Menglong didn't just leave a message. He left a legacy, one that reminded the world that real love, no matter how brief, never truly fades. And Xing Fei, the girl who found it, carried it with her forever. Not as sorrow, but as strength. Because in the end, the truth he left behind wasn't about pain. It was about remembering. About love that existed quietly, but eternally.